well, we're covering week 2. Week 2 covers some of the things I covered on making staples that Marianne started. You know, this was a making staples week. I didn't even know that when I did that. So that's really good.
Well, it lets you know that what we're talking about in the lessons are what we live. And it's just the normal course of events.
And the beans that we did, they are an anti-inflammatory food. And that's one of the things that we talked about. Tilwath seems to be working fine. Not sure how much I will be able to be here. That's okay.
Fine. It's going to be recorded. You can come back later if you need to.
That's totally fine. We only are on for a half an hour. So.
Yep. The one other advantage of beans is their fiber content.
You know, we won't get into that, but we'll
get into that a little bit because it's important.
Well, of course.
Because I am someone who, on a regular basis, my regularity is every 2 or 3 days, which is not good. And we've been getting healthier and healthier in an attempt to correct that, because that's a sign of good health. And I got to tell you, hi, Kier. So what we've been eating the last week or so quite a bit are these beans with the high fiber content. And Jim has been regularly,
but not gassy.
No.
That's what's been so nice, because we've changed the amount of beans, the type of beans, and now they're all in the freezer to give us a little bit of a rest.
Space them out. But it's helped me feel better.
I can tell you that the breakfast we had yesterday morning, that black bean salad, oh my word, that was so good.
So we live it, and we gain the benefits from living what we're talking about. It works. It really, at least it works for us.
Okay.
I suspect it'll work for others.
So the kid she babysits gets there in 1 minute. And so you just watch us afterwards.
Yes.
If you have any questions, type them in there right now. If there's any way that we can help you. So anyway, so one of the things that is on the list for the second lesson is on anti-inflammatory foods and the inflammation that is in our body. And it was several years ago that heart surgeons started going in and saying there is a pattern that they're seeing when they have heart disease and they see lots of inflammation. Well, now we know that the inflammation is causing arthritis. It causes in the autoimmune diseases. It causes, oh man, you name it. Irritable bowel.
It's part
colorectal
of so
cancer.
Much of what we're experiencing. Most people, as we have these illnesses that we insist the majority of them have to do with diet. The medicine you're putting in your body every meal is having an effect on your health.
And to go back to a story, a true story. I won't even mention names, but we had a family member who we went in to see when she was in intensive care after her colon ruptured. And we got there.
That narrows it down.
We got there at the same time that the surgeon got there. And he spent time with us in the hallway talking to us. And the very first thing that he said was, it's the Western diet. He said he sees it over and over and over. And we were so grateful that we had changed our diet. We're like, okay, there's confirmation. What we're doing is good.
Well, this was enough years ago, too, that it wasn't as mainstream, the things that we're talking about, whereas a lot that...
It was probably about 2 years after we started.
Yes. Yeah. So, a lot of people were talking about it, but not as much as what you hear now. So more and more people have heard it, understood it, looked at the science, believe it, and have started practicing it and find out that it works. And so at that time for us, it was like, well, we're feeling better. We seem to be getting health improvements. Maybe it works. Maybe it's really true. Maybe what we're hearing is the right thing. And what a confirmation that was to hear from someone who's
a surgeon
on a daily basis, seeing the results of this diet that is so common. It's the way that we eat here in the Western world. So,
I believe that if I had to be really honest about it, we are not eating enough of the items that we are supposed to be eating. And I'm just going to pull them up really quick on this computer because I had them here.
Yeah, and that's really the big issue, isn't it? We can eat correctly.
So maybe we do, because we like a lot of the foods that are on here. So the beans, the lentils, the berries, and we love berries, and we're planting lots of berries.
Can't get enough berries.
Garlic, we use lots of garlic. Cherries, which we want to plant cherry trees.
Yes, want some cherry trees.
Salmon, and you know, that's, I think, what we miss the most from living on the Pacific coast, we used to have fish a lot.
Well, we lived right by the river. We could catch it there. We got it from a lot of different sources.
Fish.
Fresh salmon.
And you really should have fish 3 times a week, and we just have not had it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as far inland as we are, to get fresh salmon like that is, it's not going to be fresh. So we were really spoiled, but there are a lot of other good kinds of fish that can apply. So it's a valuable part of a diet to have those fish.
Grass-fed meat, turmeric, olive oil, nuts, cranberry juice, and grape juice, and my personal favorite, dark chocolate. So maybe we do good.
How does she always get that dark chocolate in there? It kind of sneaks in, right? Okay.
But it doesn't, we're not talking about milk chocolate, and we're not talking about 50% chocolate. We use a dark chocolate. So.
And it's an acquired taste.
Yeah, definitely.
I think back several years ago, and it was like, ugh, that stuff's awful.
And now, the other day, somebody offered us a milk chocolate, and I thought, well, it's chocolate. We'll take it. I couldn't handle it.
No, it was just sugar. It was just sugar.
I could not handle it. It did not have a chocolate flavor to me.
Yeah.
So those are things that are important.
Sorry that my hair is messed up. We were out taking care of goats and chickens. When I go like this, see right there, we're pausing on this screen. Hopefully we're not buffering for everybody.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
We're buffering.
Well, hopefully it's still recording okay. That's kind of sad.
So other examples of things that were talked about in that lesson were how much protein to eat and how much carbohydrates to eat. And it's important that we don't get too hung up on it. You want to, what I say is do an eyeball balance if you can, but in that lesson, it tells the formulas for your weight, for your activity, for everything. And Kier, can you still see us? If you can you let us know? We're buffered on ours. So, oh, look at your face. So maybe the day or time of day would work better for more folks. Yeah, I agree. This just doesn't work. The 3 o'clock doesn't work. I think maybe if we get too far in the evening, then we go over people's, we jump onto their lives.
So what we need to do is query everybody about a time of day that works, and we'll never get anything that's perfect.
Yeah.
We'll find one that's better.
But yeah, if 3 o'clock doesn't work and we're only getting one person on here, not that we don't love you, but the point is that we can interact and ask lots of questions and answer and not go over all the lessons again. So,
okay. Yep.
Anyway, in the evening on when, well, we'll query.
We'll find out. We'll find out. We'll ask everybody.
Because this one clearly isn't working. We've still got grandma's taking care of kids and mama's still taking care of kids and all kinds of things like that. So that's a really good idea, Kier. We'll do that. So I feel like a one-man show here.
Well,
I'm not going to go into that.
Okay.
So
what do you want me to talk
Kier,
about?
are you doing perfect in everything?
We aren't, that's for sure.
No, we are not, and we're buffered.
Let's just keep going. We'll see if it's recorded at the end. There's nothing we can do about it right now.
Okay.
So what else from lesson 2?
You know, it's planning your meals ahead of time, taking the time to put them in the freezer, put them on the shelf so that it's easier to follow.
So really doing multiple meal prep while everything's out and you're making the mess, you do spend a little more time and get several meals. So come time to serve, then you can just pull out and quickly finish it up.
Can you do a check to see?
No, I don't know. I don't.
Or anything. Okay.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. That's
what I'm saying. And we have really been doing that, doing the check at the preparing ahead of time, or at least getting up in the morning and putting on something on the slow cooker for the night, because as the day goes on, and you just don't want to do things as well. And
you get so involved in other activities and it's hard to get back to it. So our speed should be fine, right? Well, it's almost finished testing.
Oh, okay.
But it's looking good. So I don't think it's our internet connection. It could be a Facebook thing. Yeah. Okay. We're in great shape internet-wise.
Okay, so. Cool. So it does take a time. When I do a full day of staple items or side dishes or things like that, it wears me out. I'll be perfectly honest with you. But then we don't have that to do every single day. And then organizing your freezer so that you actually know where the food is and how to use it is very important.
So you can find it, not lose track of it.
And that's when I like
6 months from now.
That's when I like to have an upright freezer, because I see the chest type as storing long-term things for meat, but then feed them into the other one so that you can actually see them. So I see one of those back in our future again.
Okay.
And as you're watching this, share with us how you organize your freezer and your cupboards and things in order to be able to keep things so that they will be easier for you to utilize. Because if they're not easy to utilize, then they're not easy to do. You can't do them.
Well, you know, something that we're very interested in is everyone's experience with the lessons. And as you're going through, in this case, in lesson 2, what you're reading there about how to do the meal prep and the anti-inflammatory foods. What's your experience as you're looking at the lessons or the questions or the things that aren't quite resonating or making sense to you? Is there some way that we can address those? Certainly like to know that. I mean, for us, you know, we've made up the lessons. It's pretty plain to us. We understand most of what we're saying, and we certainly like to know if there are questions.
Kier says, we eat lots of most of those foods and still struggle with the borderline diabetes. So you're eating enough protein over the carbohydrates, and
it's a balance. You've got to have the carbohydrates have got to be the right ratio to the other foods, because what happens is when they don't, you tend to load up more on carbohydrates. You're going to have more cravings for that, and you're going to feel like you need them.
I know even my brother-in-law, who has a really bad diabetic, if he doesn't even when he's really good, he doesn't hardly use any carbohydrates. And when he allows himself to indulge in more things, then his blood sugar goes straight up.
So Kier's wanting to know a little bit more about the balance, some definition to that.
Okay. So on this lesson, I'm just going to show it. This shows, and that's backwards.
No, it's not. Look at that.
Oh, okay. This shows how much protein you have. This is in your lesson too, so I'm not going to go over it all, and how many carbohydrates you need to have. I would say that if you're diabetic, and I know that Marianne Lawrence, she's a student with us, and she only allows herself to have 20 carbohydrates. You have to be functioning pretty high to have 30 carbohydrates with each meal. So
Yes. Go ahead.
So you don't eat grains at all, and your carbs come from vegetables. Well, that's excellent.
So in the vegetables, I guess the question would be, as you're preparing them, what's with them? What are you preparing them in?
Are you adding enough fat in? Like, are you eating a big slab of butter on your melted veg to melt across your vegetables so that you have that balance of the carbohydrates and the, let me show this from last week.
Okay. She's asking 20 grams of carbs with each meal.
Yes. So here's the plate that I make up where you do, and make sure that you have a good fat. Today I had someone say to me, but I have this recipe, but it has too much fat in it. And we still have that hang up where we are afraid to eat the right kind of fat. So you eat raw butter with your vegetables. That's excellent.
Cool.
Homemade yogurt from raw milk, organic olive oil. Yep.
So when you're showing these things, Linda,
right here,
this is the camera that we need to look at. When you're showing these things, is there a, for protein, what amount?
Well, and that's what this first thing is.
What I'm saying is, can you break it down into like fist size, that type of thing? And because ounces and grams, that's great if you have a scale, but when you don't have a scale and you're putting it on your plate, what does that mean? Spoonful? How many tablespoons?
Oh, I used to know this. It was like half of a, I used to know it, but now you put me on the spot in front of people. you just do it intuitively right now, right? So let's say you're making a plate and just talk about that. Got her on the spot here. Here we go. So like a half of a deck of cards, I think is 2 ounces, and a little bit, and a thin, and then a little bit thicker. A full deck of cards, maybe 4 ounces. And so you're not eating very much meat, but that's your minimum. Let me say that. That's the minimum that you're supposed to eat.
Yeah, you need at least that.
On proteins, you're talking about minimum. On carbs, you are talking about the maximum that you want if you're having trouble with that. So let me see what else. So you're doing everything right. Okay, so
I've got to ask this. I mean, this is really the question. If when you're having the problems, maybe the balances need to be a little bit better. But how much cheating are you doing? We all cheat a little bit. We do. Okay.
Being honest. Used to.
There were times when we didn't, but we still weren't 100%. And it's hard to be.
No. We were 100% for 3 years. Yes. 3 years. We were 100%. And then when you let down one time, it's like the dam broke and you go.
Yeah. But that is the challenge. It's amazing
that cheats are organic fruit.
Okay. Well, if you're going to cheat, that's a good cheat. But then again, if you do a lot of fruit, you're getting the carbohydrates.
Do you do a lot of nuts? Because nuts are one of our go-to protein snacks that we do. Yeah. We do a lot of that. We'll do peanut butter and celery, apple and cheese. You're allergic to all nuts. Oh.
Whoa, that doesn't help you, does it? Okay. Well, the point is to have some proteiny thing that can help satiate you so that you're not as hungry. When you want something, you're not going to go pick up another piece of fruit.
So she can't even have quinoa. She can't have any of that.
Okay.
So when you have your fruit, can you have cheese?
Yeah.
Have a piece of cheese with it. Have a little piece of chicken with it. So that you are always eating these 4 items
together.
You want to have a bite of this, a bite of this, a bite of this, and a bite of that. so that it regulates in your body. You never want to have just carbohydrates. So you don't want to just eat a peach or just eat an apple.
So, Kerr, is that a question about the cheese? Kier, is that a question about the cheese?
Yes, white cheese.
Yes, that's true. You don't want the stuff with the dyes and other.
Yeah, soft cheeses.
Yeah, yeah.
So cottage cheese is really good. I think I have a list of cheeses in one of the things.
Now, some of the other factors that can have an effect on you, obviously, if the balances aren't right, you need to work on those. But rest, the amount of stress that you're experiencing, those are big factors. At least it has been for us.
No, they for sure are. Because all of them release the hormones that release the insulin that release. We don't need anything with color or additives.
Oh, wow.
See,
absolutely.
they're really good.
You're on it.
And they
really
work too. We know they work.
Yes, yes.
So stress is a big one. Long story. Okay. Well, stress is going to be, I mean, you can do everything
I
right.
identify with you. Stress it's hard.
I can do everything right, and stress will wipe out, it seems like, everything you eat. Because stress, back.
Hopefully we're back now. Oh, boy, I tell you.
Your doctor thinks stress is the reason for the A1C is not good. I'm telling you, stress will wipe out your exercise and your food. So,
Kier, what do you do to handle your stress, to kind of get your stress calmed down? What are your tactics?
Putting her on the spot.
Well, no, it's an important question, because maybe we can give her some.
Is it farm
thoughts.
Stress, health stress, money stress, or family stress? See?
Yeah.
Family to us is a huge stressor. I mean, it's the internal gut-wrenching stress. Money, you just, yeah. You just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
All of that. See, you guys need to move here with us. And we'll just all work together.
We'll be all stressed together.
No. We'll all work together. It'll be great. You can move into the cottage.
Well, one of the things that Rhonda has discovered in her reading is that friends are much
stronger influence in your life and a longer lasting than your family are. Packing your bags. Okay. And I'm pretty much serious there.
But yeah, your doctor is telling you right, and really finding a way to get it under control, whether it's, I know for me, for example, I am not good at playing the guitar, but I love to do it. I love to sit down and just do some strumming and some chords and some picking. And I'm not thinking of all of those worry things while I'm doing that. I'm into what I'm doing, and I can relax and do.
But think if they were here, then we could all just sit down in the evening and just talk. And de-stress. I think it's a marvelous idea.
Maybe what we need to do is
they're looking to move. Why not here?
Maybe what we need is like an evening, like a half-hour session every evening, where we just kind of sit down and chat with our friends and just kind of relax and think about them and not all the worries that we have.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a stress reliever.
I could pick up the phone. We would be out in the garden. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I'm looking forward to that.
Just sitting there in the garden, not sitting, working in the garden.
Yes.
Talking, relaxing. We always have benches in our garden, and where you can just sit down. And I think our funnest thing was when we actually took the barbecue out there and cooked the fresh meal right there
and ate it.
Oh my goodness.
It wasn't even a minute old when we started cooking.
Talk about de-stressing. But if you're eating the way that you say you're eating, then I would say that stress is your problem, not your food. And
your food sounds like it's right. And, maybe getting the balance a little bit better, perhaps, being sure the carbs don't get over balanced. Yeah. But getting that support group, and that's something we need to consider.
We don't
how we
don't
that.
have anybody here locally that we just are like-minded with. We have friends from church. We do have some like-minded friends that have younger children, but
yeah.
all right.
Campfire cooking. Yeah. I get you away from the normal.
We want to learn more.
Yes.
We love camp. We're campers. We haven't camped since we've been here, and I may not camp here in Missouri. I don't know. Anyway. All right. Well, Kier, we're going to go ahead and close down now. And then we will open up again at 5, and we will start talking to people and find out when a better time is.
Absolutely. We definitely need to do that.
Think about our offer.
and we need to think about this stress relief. I guarantee you
I totally agree
that this Kier is not unique. Maybe she's unique, but in this regard, many people have the same challenge. Well, I think that's why that's why many people give up on their diet.
That's why there's whole lessons on stress.
Yes.
And depression. You're like, well, what does that have to do with eating right or living right? Everything.